Hello, cheers, and welcome to the Scrum of the Earth podcast, your go-to show for all things rugby. My name is David Lawrence. I'm an American rugby fan who follows the game wherever I can find it. If you'd like to get in touch, I'm easy to find on all your socials, and you can always drop an email to the scrumoftheearth at gmail.com. Well, as we discussed recently, this is the start of our sixth season, and we're celebrating with a few bonus episodes. I'm super excited. Just a few days ago, I sat down with John Anderson and Hugh Griffin to chat all things summer rugby, including the new Nations Championship and the New Zealand Tour of South Africa. It's already gotten over 2,000 views on the Global Gameline YouTube channel, so I highly recommend you check it out. It was a ton of fun. We're still trying to line up some conversations about the Southern Hemisphere. Stay tuned to social media for updates. And by the way, I just haven't really been particularly good with the Twitter anyway, but I might not be able to spend more time there. It's been grossing me out big time.
What do you mean?
Today,
what do you mean?
it's a cesspool. It really is.
I don't think anybody here can relate.
So we are back to talk all things women's rugby with some of my favorite guests. First up, I'm thrilled to announce the return of the one and only Rachel Law. Rachel, it's so good to see you. I'm sorry we didn't get the chance to meet in person while I was in Scotland, but I'm over the moon to have you back on and a chance to catch up. How the heck are you?
Yeah, I'm good, David. Do you know what? You'll be so sad because during the time that you were in Edinburgh, it was Edinburgh City Sevens, and you missed some of potentially the best sevens I think I've ever played in my entire life. So I was so gutted that you missed it. It would have been so good, but I hope you enjoyed your trip to Edinburgh. I haven't heard all about it, so I'm looking forward to hearing about it.
You dropped that bomb. You really screwed up.
I'm so mad right now.
I know. I was gonna say, I'm sorry, David, but if I just was told that by Rachel, I'd be like, oh my god.
Sorry, can I ruin it?
All my friends from the
The one
Rugby
thing I
podcast,
would have loved.
I blame them for not mentioning it.
Yeah, actually, what the heck?
Greg should have known. Craig should have told me.
He
Craig, if you're listening.
Definitely, if he's listening, you should have told him that, missed potentially the best game of sevens I think I've ever played in my entire life. So.
Rachel, am I right to say your Watsonians have won the Sarabini Cup 4 times in a row now? Is that and 5 out of the last 6? I think I read that's like dynasty level. Are you prepared to take all the credit?
Definitely not. Definitely not taking all the credit. But yes, we won the Sarabini Cup in April of this year. Our 4th in a row, and as you mentioned, our 5th in the last 6 years. So really, really good. We are pushing into pre-season. The season starts for us a week on Saturday. So we're gearing up, getting ready for that. Pre-season has been tough. I don't know where my lungs went over summer. I even played some sevens, and my goodness me, we started pre-season and I had to have a lie down for about 3 days after the first session. So real good fun, ready for the league to start. And we have hopefully got the double to win this year. We'd love to do the league and the cup. We haven't done that in a good 4 years. So fingers crossed we can do the job this year.
Also joining us both from the Women's Treehouse, also featured here on the Global Gameline channel. It's my American friend, Rugby Julia. Julia, it's been too long. How's your summer been? I've honestly missed chatting. It feels like it's been forever.
I've missed you so much. We've just been kind of around and about. Hattie and I have both been kind of in and out of rugby land, kind of in and out of women's sports land at scale. In terms of how I'm doing, I'm still in America, so fine. Um, I don't really know where else to go with that. I'm so glad we're back. Hattie and I are planning on coming back as well. Thank God rugby is back. I know men have been doing things, but when I say rugby, I mean, real rugby.
Yeah.
Julia, ever since you told me that people in college called you Eleanor Rugby, all I can think
Eleanor
is
Rugby,
like when your parents were mad at you, they'd be like, Eleanor Rugby, Julia, get out of that scrum this instant.
That's exactly right. And that's even better because like those close to me and also those who are also crossover listeners from Women's Rugby Treehouse will remember famously, neither of my parents have ever seen me play rugby. That's great. My parents don't listen to the pod, so I can say it. Yeah. No, my parents do believe, and I have told this joke before, but my parents do think they found out that I had a podcast, and now they think that it's like a Barack Obama podcast. So they're like, "Do you think Julia can like tell everybody to like go vote in the midterm elections?" And I'm like, "Well, I mean, I'll tell them."
We'll try.
I'll tell them. I think we have 2 American listeners, and the rest of them can't.
And one of them is David.
I was gonna say can't legally vote in.
And I downloaded
And
on multiple devices.
David already signed his vote away to me. He said he knew what I was talking about.
That's true.
So, I'm doing that. And then the other one is one that just puts up with me and Hattie.
Well, of course, also one of my favorite people on earth and the brains behind the Rugby History Project. It's Hattie. Hattie, how's your summer been? And thank you, by the way, for all the pics you like to send to me of your crafty projects. It always makes my day, and you're kind of a genius.
That's the nicest thing, the nicest like intro I've had on a podcast ever. So
Rachel,
we have
to show you her crafts.
Oh,
You may have even seen it. I
I
was gonna say you may have seen it from some of the Scotland girls. We are very lucky to have Ellis in our corner. So if she has spread it around, you will have seen it.
I have taken up sewing this summer. I haven't sewn since GCSE. I started sewing. I've made a Loughborough Lightning bag, so I'm very excited to bring
That's
that
the
to
one
the
I was
new
talking
season.
about.
Yeah.
I have taken up sewing a lot of other things. I've made a couple of tops. I've made this and that. I've got loads of rugby related projects coming up, which is very exciting.
She made herself bleed several times.
Yeah, I stabbed myself. Like it went right through my nail. It was a whole thing. Um,
I assume
I
that's a
will.
rite of passage with sewing. Like if when you're
Yes.
learning to solder, you don't
yeah,
officially know how to solder until you have burned yourself with a soldering iron. I assume it's the same thing.
yeah, I think so. I think I've learned now where not to put my fingers. And
They
then
have
just because I
they have
can,
symbols.
Crop that
yeah,
out of context. I would like just that clip. I know where not to put my fingers.
yeah,
Big deal.
um, yeah, and that just because it can go on 3 times speed doesn't mean it should.
Oh, clip that too,
Yeah.
actually. Same
Yeah,
reason.
yeah.
So I wanted
But
to have you all back on to talk about the competition that was, the competition that will be, and then just check in on the state of the game if that's all well and good. For the competition that was, we're just about 2 months past the end of the 2025-2026 PWR season. It was a really exciting year. The weekend of the semifinals, there were just 5 total points separating the victors from the vanquished, with returning powerhouse Gloucester Hartbury getting bumped off by the Trailfinders and Saracens squeaking by Exeter. Rachel, I'll start with you. What did you think of the way the season wrapped up, and did you foresee the downfall of Gloucester Hartbury?
No, not at all. But in terms of that, I think Trailfinders had a fantastic season last year. I don't think anyone expected them to do as well as they did. And so to push in and get into a PWR final in the first season where they have actually looked pretty good was fantastic. And obviously Gloucester Hartbury, we know how good they've been. We know how good they've been in previous years. So managing to nip them in the semi-finals was impressive. So I'm very excited for this season to see where, I know we're going to probably talk about it very soon, David, but I'm very excited about Trailfinders and their new signings. So I imagine we will come to it. I won't talk about it just yet, but yes, getting to a PWR final in the first season of them actually gelling together as a team was a fantastic achievement for them.
Patty, Exeter had 3 draws this season. As you know, we don't have those in my country.
No.
What did that 9-3-4 record tell us about the Chiefs? Were they overperforming? Were they lucky? Unlucky? I honestly can't figure it out.
Asking Hattie about the Chiefs is very funny. Go on. Hattie hates the Chiefs.
Yeah, they're not my favorite team. But I think the funny thing is that one of the draws was against Loughborough Lightning, and I was at that game. And the draws this season were just weird because they just kept happening. And I think there is this weird chunk in the middle of the PWR where you've got kind of had the top sort of 3 or 4 sort of teams. You've got Leicester right down at the bottom, and then you've got everybody else where like anything could happen and they can challenge those top teams. But then they could also technically be challenged by Leicester on the day if Leicester really put their minds to it, if they wanted to. The second half, maybe not so much, but in the first, definitely. Sorry, Leicester. But Exeter are kind of, they were very much in that top 4 for a very, very long time, and they've dropped down. They're now kind of in the middle of the pack with everybody else. It'll be interesting to see, not to talk too much about next season, see what happens there. I think for them, anything other than top 4 is perhaps a bit disappointing. They've got such a great bones of a squad. They just aren't able to build on that. And they've definitely not been able to build on that since the loss of Susie Appleby.
Julia, you and I were both surprised to see Gloucester Hartbury lose, but to be fair, it probably shouldn't have been a shock when you look at the numbers. Saracens scored almost 100 points more than them and conceded over 100 fewer points. They had a mind-boggling differential of 497. This was a Saracens team for the ages, right?
I now believe that you have framed this so that you ask each of us about our least favorite team. Best. I hate the Saracens.
Hmm.
You're absolutely right. No, you're right. Absolutely. They were dominant. I I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised after that performance. We know Saracens have done a few things well, and I think that at this point, it would look like not knowing ball if we didn't just point out the kind of like, to me, it feels a little bit obvious, but uh, Canada won it. I mean, but that said, yeah, hats off to them.
See, this is what I do is I take people out of their comfort zone.
You really threw me for a loop. I'm usually so prepared for your questions, but you were like, now tell us a nice thing about the Saracens, and I was like, well, I really like that Sophie
They've got
Goody is there.
Canadians, yeah.
I really like that Sophie de Goody is there. I think Julia Mokwale is fantastic. I can we talk about the Trailfinders? I think the Trailfinders were amazing. I love them, and I have
Actually,
a million things to say about them.
I do have something for them coming up.
Oh, good.
Rachel, I'm kind of a sucker for stats. Here's one that jumped out at me. The Trailfinders led the competition with an astonishing 3,100 plus tackles. That's more than 300 more than the next highest total. And yet, they also had the best overall tackle percentage. Is it fair to say their journey to the final was built on defense?
Yeah, 100%. And you probably argue in terms of what wins a game, defense wins a game. If you can tackle, if you can get up off the floor and you can make another tackle and another tackle, another tackle, you can get off the line and you can keep making those tackles. In the 79th minute, when you're absolutely blowing, you can still make those tackles. That's the difference that's going to win you the game. And when they're coming up against the likes of Saracens, the likes of Exeter Chiefs, the likes of Gloucester Hartbury, who attacking teams wise have a lot of flair, they have a lot of consistency to their attack, and they are incredibly successful in terms of getting over the game line, getting themselves quick ball, and their probably wide attack. In terms of that set of things, you know, as the Trailfinders coming into this competition as the underdogs, in terms of that top four position, they know that they're going to have to defensively front up, be physical enough to compete at that level and keep putting in the hits after hits. So yeah, defense wins games, and in terms of those stats, kudos to them, but that's what got them into that final. That's what got them into the position that they were in.
Patty, here's another odd one for you. The two teams that made the final gave away the most penalties this season. Is that a classic example of teams that play right on that edge between ferocity and ill discipline? I swear, rugby stats are so hard to parse sometimes.
I mean, you're talking about Saracens, which is a side with Marley Packer, and I think me and Julie have talked about it a lot on Women's Rugby Treehouse, but Saracens players love a penalty. I think they've been top of cards, penalties, etc. in the PWR since before it was the PWR. It's just kind of a hallmark of their game. They play rough. Trailfinders is really interesting to come in that second, but I do wonder how many of those are defensive penalties, because they are, as Rachel said, getting up off the floor. They are working really hard. You know, they have a really excellent bench. They've lost some of that strength in that bench with the people that have left after the end of this season. But, you know, you are going to, if you're working really, really hard in defense, you are going to pick up those penalties. Compare it to Saracens, where some of theirs tend to be more cynical penalties. I do think there is a difference there in how you're conceding those. But I'm not super surprised. Is Exeter third?
I'm sorry. I think that's right, but I didn't jot it down.
I would be surprised if it wasn't.
Yeah. Like sometimes
But
you can just like teams just have a reputation. You're like, yeah.
It it feels like this would be considered maybe like a hot take or whatever in rugby, but I don't think it should be, because I think that what I'm about to say, like if we were talking about men's, this would not be something that is argued against or is like anything against common sense. But I think, at least in the PWR, it has felt like there has been an adoption of the, I guess it's inconvenient, the inconvenient knowledge that sometimes you need to pull a penalty. I know that it, maybe it's not becoming of the game, maybe. I don't know why we cower away from that. But yeah, I think one thing that Saracens really capitalize on is when to risk a penalty. And
Yeah,
it doesn't always go well, and that's why their numbers are the way they are. But it is also why they are able to do what they are able to do, especially in attack, but also in defense.
yeah. I feel
Um,
like the Ireland men kind of do that a little bit. The Springbok
yes,
men,
I was just gonna say
absolutely, they just keep
Ireland
testing
and
that
South
ref.
Africa are the two that I think of, and absolutely, we are all in the media, or we are all in the rugby ecosphere. We know that the conversation around that tends to be negative, and we still look down on it. But I think that that comes from a time, in my opinion, when the game was slower for both men and women, but definitely for women, we are speeding up the game in a way that I think even the men's game isn't. And we know it's true because speed of ball is quicker in women's, and ball and play time is quicker. But that said, I feel like we're going to move into an era when we accept that penalties have to be a part of your strategy. Not that we should, not that you should go and break laws all the time. Like it sucks. Obviously, everyone hates ball stoppage. However, sometimes you have to. And sometimes it puts you in advantage. And it definitely felt to me, especially in that final, that the Saracens were willing to do it more than the Trailfinders and I'm sure for a lot of reasons. Trailfinders have a lot to defend and have like a lot of their decision making to defend.
As
But
as a Patriots fan and somebody who supported Coach Belichick for many, many years, I cannot bring myself to ever criticize a team for pushing those limits. Like,
I
my
was gonna say,
shoelace.
as
I'm just going
as
to
a
sit down and
Pats
tie my
fan, I'm
shoelace.
surprised.
And
As a Pats fan, I'm surprised that you don't like the Saracens more because among the teams, the people who love cheating the most is the Saracens.
Me, I will
ouch.
say, I am gonna have to say, as a Scarlets fan, sometimes you can bank on getting penalties as part of your game plan, and sometimes it doesn't work.
I just wanted to see if the stupid bit would work, and it didn't work. But you're right about the Scarlets.
Like
Julia,
Tane, baby, I love you, but it's not working.
Listen,
your
listen.
Bears
If
made the
Oh, please. All I was gonna say is, if anybody knows about doing things that don't work but trying them over and over, it's a Welsh team. But go on.
um Julia, your Bears made the playoffs of the season before this one. I think it was. They found themselves second to bottom this year. Like, what's gone wrong? And fear not, I'm not going to make any comments about losing alone tomorrow.
Great. I mean, there's nothing to say there because that was neither gained nor lost, really. That was kind of nothing burger. What we can talk about is what happened in this season. Oh, I guess was she this season? I don't even remember.
No.
Anyway,
Oh,
no. Yeah, it couldn't have been. No, because we had Rue. Rue was a fantastic get. So, how I feel about that, I will say it only briefly. We know, all four of us know, everybody else who is within rugby online knows. I don't remember if it was the GM or somebody else. It must have been the men's GM. Obviously, it wasn't Daisy Mays who said it. But it must have been somebody else who said it, that the Bears is a marketing agency with a weekend rugby habit. So, okay. That also explains some of the signings since. But that said, when we talk about Bears play, I have my official take on it, and then I have my conspiratorial, and I've spoken to people at Bears takes on it. So I will just
we're
say
going
the
with
stuff that
conspiracy.
I will just comment on the stuff that is out there and that is pretty well known. Um,
She's not getting the tinfoil hat out. That's for Women's Rugby
it's
Treehouse.
Yes, that's for Women's Rugby Treehouse, and that's for when people come into my comments and are just like, "How do you know?" And I'm like, somebody in my DMs, and they're like, "Show me," and I'm like, "That's not how it works." Um, that said, uh, it felt like there were a few different alarm bells for the Bears over the season. There has consistently been problems in the back line. I attribute some of it to Amber Reed retiring simply just because she held the whole thing together. We lost Holly Aitchison, which was a big loss as well. It has now, in relatively short period of time, become a rather young team. Honestly, there are a lot of academy players coming up now, which is great, but you're definitely going to have at least one season of being that low, and it was.
Poop.
Yeah, it wasn't great. I personally do not back the backs coach myself, and from what I've heard among grapevines, I don't support the way that they have moved that along. I'm curious, Hattie.
Isn't he now up with Scotland?
He is now on loan with Scotland.
Yeah. Good luck.
I didn't think about that. at all. It didn't occur to me at all, and especially having Rachel here. But you're not. Oh, I should have checked this with you before we were on air. You're not still. You don't work for SRU, do you?
No, I never worked for the SRU.
Oh, fantastic. Okay, so you hired a dud. He's going to tell you not to kick when you have Helen Nelson. So
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
Yeah, I do have my reservations in terms of that side of things. To be fair, I have
But
my
I think he's
reservations.
only temporary, isn't he? Or
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
a 3-month appointment, thank God. I do
and
like
then
I
you get
just
to have him
wonder,
back. So it's the worst for everyone. Maximum pain achieved
well,
across multiple teams.
it is, I do think, and this is half tinfoil hat, but also half kind of like if you know the Bears and if you know the personnel at all. Like I do believe that probably at this point we're just on a waiting timeline until Amber is the backs captain or the backs coach. Um, I think I
Do you
think it's
think that
obvious
is that going to happen soon? Okay.
please God.
She's the interim whilst is it Tom
She's
Luke?
the
Is that his name?
interim
Yeah.
now, and she is the assistant coach um when Buddy is in. But she is the head coach of the academy.
Yeah.
So honestly, I'm just waiting for that. Ruahe's gone. There's no word on getting her back. Um,
Was a
We
hell of
have
a
a
signing.
10.
several of the Welsh left. I don't know, man. I don't know. Jenna DeVera left, so I genuinely don't know who will play 10. Actually, while I have you, Rachel, do you think there's any chance that Mez might do a stint at 10? Honestly, it's the only one I can think of.
Yeah, I'm probably like Meryl is one of those players who, to be honest with you, you could probably play her, maybe not on the wing, you could probably play her
Yes.
anywhere in
Anywhere
that
10 to 15, honestly.
Yeah.
Anywhere.
Yeah, so she is so versatile in terms of that sort of things. The way that she puts people
And
in
has a boot.
space,
Thank God.
the way, yeah, her boot is fantastic. So I always thought I played with her growing up, and I always thought that she was going to make it as a 10. But
That's
actually,
what I thought too.
yeah, in her latter kind of few years of under 18s rugby, you could see actually the way that she was filling out, and
I was gonna say she got strong, honestly.
She got
It's
so
just
strong,
that she got strong as hell.
when you look at her, you think, nah, she's not
Center.
very strong.
You
And you
think
just
center.
like, you look at her and you think, she, like, how? But no, in terms of that side of things, you look at her and you, as you say, you think now she's definitely an inside centre, and the way that she plays and the way that she reads the game and the way that she puts people into spaces.
That's the thing, is that she's so good with playmaking that I honestly like that I don't want to waste what she has.
Yeah. And my argument would be, the concern would be, is obviously if she's playing 10 down at Bristol, how is that going to influence in terms of her international side of things? And she's realistically not really, you've got Nelson, you've got Ramsey.
Interestingly, I genuinely thought that there was at least an outside chance, not high, and again, this was Julia Tin Hat, but I did think there was a small chance that Helen was coming to Bears.
I knew she was going to Trailfinders because I had inside info.
Oh, right. No, and well, now it makes sense. And so the thing is, when Trailfinders was announced, obviously, but
and Julia was like, "No, you're wrong. You're wrong," and I was right.
No, I never said I will never think a Scottish player would not go where Rachel Malcolm is. I don't think that would ever happen.
But I think in terms of that sort of things, the obviously at Loughborough, the kind of group of Scotland girls and the group that they created, the Rachel Malcolms, the Waz, the Helen Nelson, the CB, like that kind of group, they created a nice little ethos down here. So I think in terms of that side of things, the movement to Trailfinders, the success of Trailfinders as well last season, that's going to have driven Nelson there.
Yeah.
We
don't have any Scots left now.
That's what I was going to say, is what was really surprising to me. You're obviously, of course you're right about that, Rachel. But what I was surprised about was the willingness / had to break it up. And then everybody left at one time, which was surprising. I honestly expected it to disperse more. I'm glad they all ended up in the same place. Do you feel like, is that a Scotland player thing? And I ask that specifically coming from like if I'm not cheering for the USA, I'm cheering for Wales. And those players just go like where they'll take them. And what I see with the Scots is that they will go and be together. Do you feel that that is accurate, or that's just kind of how it happens?
I think they definitely take comfort in each other
Okay.
in those little Scottish bubbles, so to speak. So yes, I would say so. And I think like a lot of the time, like when Anne Young and Ellis Martin were at Loughborough, like they had their little groups. So in terms of that sort of things, I do think the Scots move in packs rather than are individually. I mean, some
Can
Scots.
more of them move to Bears, please?
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Please.
You guys are
All the ones we've
ones.
gotten, all the ones we've gotten, we love. We got all bangers.
You want
Well,
more?
who,
Yes, I
you,
want more. I'm greedy.
yeah.
And we lost all of our Welsh. Come on.
Yeah.
Apart from Kira Ben.
Yeah.
It's true. And actually, while we're here, oh no, please, you go on first. I want this.
All I was going to say is you still got EVG.
Yes, we have
Yeah.
EVG, we have
That's
Nez, we
like
have
three Scots in one.
Holly Cunningham, we have do we still have Eliane Clark? I think so. Yeah, I don't remember her leaving.
No, you don't. She's gone to
Oh, she
Edinburgh.
left.
Sorry.
Oh,
No,
right.
no,
Okay, so, well, no, but I'm glad you say that, and I'm sorry to run you over, David, but it's the first time I've gotten to ask her questions. I only had one more, which was Hattie and I have had extensive discussions, both on air and off, about the approach to what is going to end up being the Celtic Challenge merger. We know it's coming. The movement from the Wales standpoint has been very clear. Very much so. It is obvious that the deal has been, you're coming back. We're doing the Ireland model. You're coming back. Do you think Scotland's going to?
Yes, and I think you're in the process.
And I think they should. And
Yeah.
you think they should? Say.
Like, I think
so
in
too.
terms of how do you grow grassroots rugby if all of your players go to England? And I get it. At that point in time, the PWR, take back 4 or 5 years ago, the PWR is,
Bingo.
if you want to compete on the world stage, you have to be playing the best possible rugby that you can play. And that wasn't Scottish club rugby. Scottish club rugby was quite frankly pants,
Yes.
and therefore we weren't going to be able to compete at that high level. So everyone went down south, played in the PWR. Now we're getting to the point where actually we need to grow grassroots rugby in Scotland again. And the way that you do that is that you pull back, you make that an Edinburgh and a Glasgow squad. You then make the club game catch up with that because you've brought the talent back to Scotland. So yes, I think, and I do think in the next couple of years they'll turn around and say, you cannot play down south. If you want to play for your country, you have to play up here in Scotland.
I was going to say, of the three Celtic nations, the nation that quickest started trying to shore up their, I mean, I'm calling it championship only because, like, I know that that's the level, let's just call it championship. Their domestic championship, by far, Scotland spruced theirs up the fastest. And we were talking
Well,
right before
Wales
we started.
doesn't have one.
Right, so Wales doesn't have one. So I look at that, I mean, we would have to go off onto Wales chat, and that would just be depressing.
Well,
No, but
you all teed it up nicely. You already
great.
kind of hinted at a lot of the player movement we've seen. Speaking of some of our favorite players, one of my own, Ruby Tui, just signed with Ealing. Rachel, any thoughts on that or any other moves that we've seen this offseason?
Yeah, I mean, Ruby Tui coming to Trailfinders is wow, it's super exciting because also you say Ruby Tui to 90% of rugby fans, male and female, and they're going to know who you're talking about. She is
Absolutely.
a big name. It's like last 2 seasons ago, Anna Meyer coming to Bristol. In terms of getting those big names, that's how you drum up the interest. That's how you go, have you heard that Ruby Tui is playing for Trailfinders? I might turn that on the TV. So those sorts of things are the way that you drum up that interest. In terms of other
I also love the fact that she just wants to play rugby. She's like, okay, who's signing me now? Like, she'll play league, she'll switch coach. She doesn't care. She's like, am I playing sevens? Am I playing union? What's going on? Just sign me up.
She's
And I mean,
so
there is,
cool. I wish
and there
I
is,
could dye my hair like that and still look that cool.
you have EVG at home.
That's very true, actually.
just ask. What I really like about the Ruby move, and I know that it may look like I'm being hypocritical considering my opinion of other things, but it's not actually because this person actually still plays rugby. Plays rugby, is a big name. I feel is a huge testament to what we have been saying on the women's side, and this is also something we were talking about right before we started recording. But Yes, unfortunately now you need to be on social media. Unfortunately now you need to be a name. There is worth in creating a brand for yourself, and for better or for worse, Ruby has done that really well. Ruby did it by staying in the rugby sphere. And it has paid dividends. She disappeared for a few years and came back and picked up like it was nothing. We need to get to a point where we are creating more than one of those every few years. And I think that it could be a really great thing to have her in the greater London area to be around to talk about that. We know Ellie Kildun has spoken a lot about that she's endeavoring to do that, that she knows that it has to be more than just being the best rugby player that there is. Unfortunately, you have to be more than that. Um, I think that there, in fact, speaking of Ellie Kildun, we know that there's also pushback against that, which we're going to have to confront at one point. I feel like having somebody like Ruby around will help us with that. And I know that this is all
I
not
think the
directly
the
about
difference
rugby, but
between
it is.
the difference between Ruby and other people, this isn't a slight on Eddie Kildun, it's just a
Sure.
truth about Ruby to me, is that she's just funny and like you want to
Oh
watch
yeah,
her
it doesn't
whether
hurt. It
you're
doesn't
interested in
hurt if
rugby.
you're also
So
right.
like,
You're also fun.
it's Ruby Tui kind of comes under the same like Joe Marler-esque. She goes beyond rugby. She could end up on
Absolutely.
she'll go on. I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if Ruby 2 ended up on like Gladiators or
I was just
I'm
gonna
a
say,
Celebrity or something. And she'd be there as a rugby player, but like people would like her anyway. And I think
and
that's what's really cool.
Jodie Ounsley found that exact success, and it worked
And
really well.
I think the thing is like Ruby obviously is headed towards the end of her career, but last year she was working on the PWR with TNT. I assume the similar thing will carry on in the same way that Mo Hun and Emily Scarrett have done it. Ending up on the men's side of things on TNT for the love of rugby, all of those different things. I think that is really helpful to the sport. And I also think it's really good actually that it's a non-British personality.
I completely agree.
Like having a Kiwi on, I think is really good.
It's a great
Yeah.
point. So, listeners, this is a great chance to say thank you for your ongoing support. The Global Gainline YouTube channel is continuing to grow. We've been loving all the comments we've been getting. Here in the USA, it feels like all rugby conversations are basically shouting into a well. So, getting feedback, even when it's borderline insane, is truly gratifying. So, if you would, help us spread the word. And I can't tell you how much we appreciate it, though I guess I just tried. Okay, Hattie, you and I both support Loughborough. What are you looking to see them do this offseason? It was weird. I had a vague sense this season that they were sort of on the uptick, but then they ended up with two fewer wins than the previous two seasons. Like, what are your expectations for the Lightning this next year?
We have had like last season, I'm going in. So last season was the first year that I was a season ticket holder. I'd been to odd games here and there, but I was like half supporting Quins, half supporting Loughborough. But last year was the first year I was a season ticket holder. And it felt like, okay, we've had a bit of churn. We lost Rachel Malcolm, we lost Waz, whatever. But, it felt like we were a little bit more solid. Obviously, Skaz retired, which was a bit sad, but, she went into coaching and things like that. We've had a lot of churn this off season.
Yeah, but one really big churn now.
We've lost all of our Scots, as I've said, who really backs up our squad. We basically had no props. Because all of our Scots, all of our props were Scottish. We lost Helen Nelson, which I will say, losing Helen Nelson is an issue.
Huge loss.
However, we still do have Helena Rowland.
Helena Rowland. I was going to say, you've got the hell dog that you need.
So,
one thing of note, though, Nathan Smith over to Canada, and look what he brought back.
Yeah, Nathan Smith went over to Canada for WXV. He brought back, like, any Canadian who needed a contract. So we're all good.
Panfanapolisa didn't need a contract. We would gladly have kept her. We would gladly have kept her. Good for you. You're gonna have fun.
We've got Haniela Latui, who honestly had an insane season. Lily Ives Campion, thank God she's actually okay. The second last game of the season, she went down in it was like a line out issue. She went down. I nearly was in tears. I was like, she better be okay. She's fine. But yeah, we've got a lot of churn, which does concern me. We have managed to sign senior players, which in the past Loughborough hasn't done. Loughborough, when they've lost senior internationals before, they've just gone, it's okay, we've got university players, university graduates, we'll just backfill with those, which is okay, but doesn't really work in the long term. And that's always, I think, been Loughborough's problem, is that they've always gone, we've got depth.
I will direct you back to the
theory.
Welsh national team, to which I would say that's what happens when you put a bunch of 18-year-olds in.
In theory, but there is a big gap between Bucks and the PWR.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think that's when you look at Loughborough, that's historically been people look at Loughborough and they're like, this doesn't make any sense. You've had, Sarah Hunter, you've had Emily Scarrett, you've had half the Scottish national team. Why have they not done anything? You're like,
It's
because
kind of
the
fair,
rest of the
though.
squad is
Right.
like 20 years old.
Interesting. Julia, same question, but substituting your Bears. What are you looking for, for them to do before next season, and where are your expectations right now?
I would like to say they're not really my Bears anymore. I really think I've transitioned completely to the Sharks. But anyway, in terms of the Bears, no, I'm
Was it
still
the
paying
social
attention.
media? Did the social media win you over?
No, it was losing all the Welsh. And they lost Pamphlet Buisa and Rue isn't coming back. So I was like, come on. There's EVG and there's Kira, and that's what I'm there for.
And
but
also,
those are...
Julia, you also have to talk about Ellie Kildun. You can't talk about
I know. No, you're absolutely right. So that was where I was going. That is I mean,
Julia's second favourite subject is Ellie Kildun after
no,
Alona Mar.
I am not you. I am not you. My least favorite subject is Alona Mar, and then Ellie Kildun is miles away. I actually like Ellie Kildun because we have the same music taste, and honestly, I think it's kind of baller to come out and say I want to be the best in the world. Like, that's kind of baller. I am American. I think that's kind of baller. So I will say this. Huge win,
Do you
getting
have her
Ellie.
book, Julia?
I think, whose?
Ellie's.
Oh, with the AI one?
Is it written with AI?
Oh, I don't know. I thought you were talking about. Okay, so
No,
sorry.
she has an
Background.
autobiography.
No,
Fake fan.
Rachel.
Fake
Rachel.
fan. Fake fan.
No.
You heard it here first. She's not a fan.
Fake
Fake
fan.
fan.
Fake fan. Fake fan. No. I'm protecting myself in front of Rachel. Rachel, did you know that Amazon has a cottage industry of a bunch of fake AI books? You should look it up.
Yep.
Fake AI books,
They're
especially
so bad.
fake kids books. And like there was one that I really loved and I did lose it a little bit. Like granted, it was because of a bunch of other things in my life and again, being in America. But I recently did a search for Alona Mar book, and Alona Mar doesn't have a book, so of course everything is fake. And it's all kids' books, and in one she's black.
Oh.
Wow.
There's also
It's
an
awesome.
Ellie Kildun
It's
book
awesome.
where the AI generated person is definitely based on Emily Scarrett.
It's definitely Emily Scarrett. She has straight hair, it's in a ponytail, she's tall. Anyway, I love it. I'm completely obsessed with it. But no, in serious rugby land, it's Ellie fucking Kildun. Don't be stupid. Of course I'm excited about that. I'm especially excited about that when you lose Jazz Joyce. I'd hope.
It's
You have
exciting
us-
that you've got an actual fullback now.
Yes, honestly. And
I
you know what?
still
And
stand by what I say that Emerson is a better fullback technically. I still stand by
I
that.
agree.
But at least
I
you've got an
agree.
actual fullback now.
Right. I agree with both points. I do think Emma Singh is the best current English fullback. I agree with that. But the person who matters doesn't agree with me, so who cares? That said, I'm very excited to have Ellie Kildun. Honestly, my only concern genuinely is the backs coach. I don't think his vision fits with what Ellie does best, which really worries me. The same way that I felt that his vision didn't work best with Eleanor Snowzell, and that I didn't think that his vision worked best with Holly Aitchison, and I think that was a big part of why she left. So
I apologize for jumping in, but I got to keep us moving.
please, sorry. I'm excited about
yeah,
Ellie
too
Kildun.
much.
Hattie is less excited. I'm very excited. I'm good. I'm the good one.
Well, that was the competition that was. The competition to be is, of course, the WXV Global Series, which is only about 2 weeks away as we record this.
Excited.
It's an 8-week series featuring the top 12 teams in the world playing home and away. I'm getting fired up, just saying this out loud.
I'm so excited.
In its inaugural season, there were 3 tiers, now reduced to 2, with the 6 next highest ranked teams participating in a 3-week series at the lovely Kai Tak Stadium in Hong Kong, with the tantalizing prize of the final slot in the next World Cup up for grabs. Rachel, what do you think of the adjustments they've made to the format, and what are you most looking forward to?
I'm actually very excited that they've made the changes. Obviously, you had the 3 tiers last year, but I think in terms of those 12 teams that you've got in that top tier, it does make for some very exciting games. In terms of, I'm going to talk about Scotland because we all love Scotland. We have got 3 home games at the Hive Stadium, arguably against the 3. Well, yeah, arguably.
Look, they're all gonna be games worth going to. Are you in Scot? Are you yeah? Because you're coaching a Watsonia, so you got to be. You're in Scotland, yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
awesome. Oh my God, I would be going to all 3.
Yeah, so exciting. So in terms of that side of things, but also it's very exciting for women's rugby as a whole in Scotland because you're about to get the opportunity to watch Canada, New Zealand, and Australia on home turf for us. So yes,
Canada is going to be
so good.
Good. Can I, and I know whatever, but like, what if Rachel and Julia are both healthy? That'd be very funny.
That would be
very funny.
Are the besties back?
I'm sure you saw and oh no, now I feel very bad because I only know her TikTok handle, the Scotland team manager who makes the funny videos about them being enemies.
Ellen Dixon.
Ellen Dixon. Okay. I was like, it's E Dizzle, but I don't think that's her Christian name.
She is brilliant though. Oh my goodness me.
She's great. Oh, okay. I'm so glad. Please transmit that. We love it. We love the content. A lot of us share the videos all the time. They're very funny. No other team manager is funny.
This is a thing as well though, because it
market baby.
Yeah, that sort of side of things that and I think the men's game lacks that so much, having a bit of personality, like having that ability.
The men's game is entirely devoid of personality.
Exactly.
It's actively drummed out.
Personality is flat whites.
Yeah.
And it's crazy that it's fans from that side of rugby who, and we were talking about this as well, who kind of like bristle at or kind of like wrinkle their nose at when the women do something like fun or quirky or whatever, and it gets 3 million views and it gets them a new sponsor.
Yeah. Marketing. No, Edizzle does a really, really good job, bless her. I think she is secretly fed content reminders from
Okay. I thought you were gonna be like, she has a media coach and they are paying her. She's blowing half of their budget on a guy who teaches her how to TikTok.
Yeah. And do you know what I'm actually quite sad about? I think she'd be great doing some of the TikTok dances. That new Michael Jackson one, woo! I think she'd be brilliant at it.
Absolutely.
Julia, the second week of this competition is circled in like 3 colors of red on my calendar, as it'll feature the World Cup final rematch between England and Canada, and then Ireland are hosting our USA Eagles in Dublin. I think this is a great way to start off for the Eagles. I think we can win this one and get off to a great start.
You're right. I would like to also announce something very cool and fun. I tried very hard to get tickets in Toronto to the England-Canada. It sold the fuck out. I'm so excited. I do think that Canada has a chance at breaking our record that we set in Kansas City. That said, I'm super excited. I will be going to USA versus Italy in Tennessee. In Nashville, I'm stoked. It's going to be incredible.
Going to pay your respects.
I am going to pay my respect. Oh my God, too soon. I am going to pay my respects. I also will tell a brief story that I didn't know that Nashville was as popular as it is because I don't listen to a ton of country music. I didn't know that everybody else recorded music there because I'm dumb.
Yeah.
So I didn't know, and I was looking for hotels, and there were not any. So we're gonna see. Might blog. We'll see how it goes.
Patty, speaking of the USA, Wales will host us at Cardiff Arms Park the last weekend in September.
And I will be there.
Oh, yeah. So what will be the keys if Wales are to win that one?
Not be shit.
I was going to say anybody over the age of 19.
Do you know what? I think the weird thing is about WXV, and I understand why other countries are really excited. I get why the likes of England are really excited. Like they've got 3 home games. 3 home games, 3 away games. New Zealand, I think, have got 3 away. Like some countries have done it really well, right? However, because World Rugby have kind of given the reins over, it means that the WRU were in charge.
The WRU was in charge.
Which means we've got 2 games at home. We could have had 3, but we've only got 2. One of them is on a Friday night against South Africa instead of midday on Saturday. all of the times for the Wales games,
Where South Africa is going to beat your ass, no offense.
like all of the Wales games clash. The Wales-Japan games got announced like 4 weeks later after everybody
Which
else, and
Wales
even
could
then
actually win.
and then it was TBC. Why not? If you're going to have a games against, we're going to travel all the way out to Japan. Why not have one game against Japan at home and have 3 home games, one of them against Japan, then travel out to Japan and play the 2 games there? Does that not make sense?
And remember that adorable Japanese diplomat loves going to Wales games.
Like, but there's a lot of history with Wales and Japan like playing each other.
That's what I mean.
So like,
no,
it is.
Jokes aside, it would have been an easy sell.
Why are we just shit? And not only that, like, they keep messaging me being like, buy your tickets. I've already bought my ticket, but you were selling tickets for £2. That's not going to make people buy things. And also, the last time, I've already ranted enough, but the last time I was in Cardiff, I was there for the Six Nations. There were no adverts anywhere about the Six Nations being on. We had 4,000 people turn up to the Arms Park. How many people are going to turn up?
Rachel, what if this episode was a psyop to make you appreciate SRU?
I know, and actually that's
and you're like, oh,
also rubbish. So how
no, it's a competition for who can be shittier.
And I actually argue, Hattie, you're winning. I'm so sorry.
Hattie wins.
And then to top it all off,
Okay,
I know I'm
okay.
going to go down to Cat. Hang on, let me finish. I'm going to go down to Cat. I'm going to need to go to the toilet, and the toilets aren't going to work.
Oh.
Rachel, does your main sponsor, the CEO of your main sponsor, yell at your union? Because they do for Wales.
Oh.
Like, I am genuinely concerned.
Did you see the CEO of Go Compare yelled at Wales?
I'm genuinely concerned. I've paid for my ticket. I'm genuinely
concerned
that the WRU are going to go out of business and I'm going to lose out on £22. The other thing, not only is the ticket £20,
WRU is going to turn into WRU is going to turn into just a hotel and zipline industry.
They take 2 booking fees.
Evil.
Anyway, so I just hate the WRU, but I don't, because I am actually supposed to be doing something with them soon.
It's great.
I don't.
It's great to be a far leftist and also a rugby fan.
Sort it out.
You already kind of teed it up. The second half of this competition is where it gets a little odd. Rachel, Scotland's fixture list is a little odd, playing Canada, New Zealand, and Australia at the Hive, but then they only play the Aussies twice away. That's it. In fact, the second half of this year's comp is generally a bit wacky. The Black Ferns playing 3 matches against France at home. It's just a bit off balance. Is that indicative of how crowded the rugby calendar is? Like, and what are your expectations for Scotland coming into this competition? Like, you recently lost your coach, a situation we can't identify with at all over here.
In fairness, first of all, we've all lost this fucking coach.
Yeah,
I haven't.
That's very true. Do you know what, more than anything, in terms of that set of things, is obviously we play Australia on the 26th here at the Hive, and then obviously we go over there, as you've mentioned, David, and play them again. I think in terms of continuity of learning how a team play and then consistently playing them is quite a good thing. However, it doesn't make it very exciting, because you say, oh, who are you playing next week? Oh, we're playing you again. Oh, who are you playing the week up? Oh, we're playing you again. So in terms of that side of things, it is a bit boring. But in terms of learning how the team play, learning from the game before and implementing new things into the game, that's probably quite good. We then come on to the fact that, yes, we have lost our coach and we're currently in a land of limbo where nobody actually knows what's going to happen. The worst thing about that is that obviously the SRU announced that Sione was leaving on the Monday, and then on the Thursday, the Wallabies were like, oh, by the way, who's our new head coach? Here he is. So my thoughts and feelings is that I don't actually think he's taking up that post until December. Why did they not just turn around and go, do you know what, we're just going to be sensible and just keep our mouths shut and not say anything until December?
Can I ask you
I'm sorry. I have to say, like, as a dad, I appreciate his yearning to be with his family, but can we put a hard cap on how many times you can use that as your excuse?
First of all, we don't even know if that's true.
Like, stop taking jobs on the other side of the world, dude.
Yeah. First of all, can I ask Rachel,
Australia?
What is? Oh, sorry. Go on.
Rugby dearth. No rugby coaches are needed in Australia, famously, so he must travel across the world to
that was going to be my other joke, was Rugby Australia can't afford to host them a third time. Second of all, can I ask you a very loaded question, Rachel? Probably.
Go on.
Why isn't Shanks the head coach?
In terms of that side of things, I I honestly don't know the answer to that.
Okay, that's what I thought. No, that's the best answer I could have gotten because I bet the answer is I don't know.
I think more than anything is, and ask
Somebody
majority
who
of
wants it.
people, ask majority of people why is Shanks not the head coach, and I don't know. In terms of her progression through coaching, so she coached me for 5 years whilst I was in Edinburgh University. Then obviously in terms of Celtic Challenge, in terms of Edinburgh, in terms of the role that she's now in, the most logical step would be for her to become the women's national coach. Now, I don't know if it's an SRU thing. I highly, highly doubt it's a her thing. It's not going to be a her thing. She will want that job. She'll be gunning for that job. So I don't know. And I don't know what the SRU's issue with her is, and as to why they've not offered her that job.
I've said the same thing about Rachel Taylor in Wales. So like I assume that it has to be.
And Tails is one of those. Rachel Taylor is one of those. Yeah, it logically makes sense.
And it's gonna and when, not if, but when Sarah Hunter ascends, it's going to become very, very kind of obvious.
But I also think. Sorry, David. I also think in terms of that set of things, having previous women's players who have come through, they've played international rugby, they've retired, they've then given back into the game and come into those coaching positions. That pathway in sport is something that in female rugby you've not seen. You've not had someone. It's always been male orientated. So actually that improvement there just gives another aspect to it. You've got the likes of Holly Davidson, who is leading the way in terms of the officiating side of things. So why can we not have these people in the head coach roles of these teams to show that actually they're probably the best people for the job?
It completely slipped.
I apologize for jumping in here, but we've only got about 10 minutes left, and I want to make sure we get to all the little points I've got. Julia,
Shanks call Rachel. Anyway, sorry, go on.
There's the top tier with the 12 teams, but there's also the Challenger Series featuring 6 teams: Brazil, Fiji, Hong Kong, China, the Netherlands, Samoa, and Spain. Which team are you most looking forward to watching? And do you have any players you've got your eye on? Like, a stupid question, I know that you do. Bianca Silva seems like kind of an obvious choice. I imagine you've got a more hipster option.
I do. So you did nail it. I am an unapologetic Brazil fan. I absolutely love the ascendancy that they're going through. I think it's going to be fantastic. Yes, of course, Bianca Silva, we have an eye on. She is more of a crossover player. It will all depend on what she wants to do with sevens, because of course, whenever you have the opportunity to go to the Olympics, you're going to go to the Olympics. So we'll see what happens with Bianca Silva. We've got, oh gosh, who all am I excited about?
I don't know any players for the Netherlands, I have to say right now.
Yeah,
let's say Linda van der Velde. Linda van der Velde. And then it makes me feel very bad for saying it, because I often like shame, especially dudes who come into women's rugby and they're like, oh, my favorite player is Ellie Gildon because this is the one I've heard of. And then I'm just like, oh, it's Linda van der Velde because it's the Dutch I've heard of.
It also sounds like you could have just made that up, and I would not be able to call you on it.
Who, Linda van der Velde?
Yeah.
She plays for Chiefs. Giant Chief.
Yeah. So if you do watch any of the games for the Netherlands, it's quite stereotypical, but they're all incredibly
they're all very big.
They're all very tall. Linda van der Velden for the Netherlands generally plays 8 as well, so they've got a 6'1" number 8. Their locks are like 6'2", 6'3", and then their 6 and their 7 are like 5'10". Like they are gigantic.
I think their scrum half is like 5'5", which is to me a very full-grown person. That's a very tall
they
person.
Are so tall.
Sometimes
I say this is. I was going to say. I
much
say this
tinier
as
than everyone is actually a big advantage.
As a
Sometimes
5'1" front row. So
yeah. Hattie, same question. Which team at that lower tier do you see making a big impression on the world stage? And do you have a player or two that you're looking forward to seeing?
I think it will be. I don't really know if they're going to have like an official winner. But I think who will probably come on top will be Fiji. Have had a lot of issues, but I think logically it will be either Fiji or Spain.
I feel like going to the World Cup is a prize.
Yeah. I will say that Spain are, I love them. They are part of my heart. I met them at the England versus Spain game. I was like the only person that was cheering on Spain. I'm obsessed with Spain. I'm obsessed with the players.
We'll have to show you sometime, Rachel. We have a million pictures of her and all the Spanish girls because she had, the bootleg shirts that are
Oh
very in
yeah,
fashion now with the various different pictures of them and everything. She had her España one, and the
I
That I
girls were
made because I couldn't find a Spain jersey. So I had to,
make one.
yeah.
yeah, but wait. So
Yeah,
somebody
so
liked it
then,
so much that they made sure that she left with a Spain jersey.
yeah, so I got a Spain jersey. It does not fit me.
No,
Um,
because it because
because
it belongs to Amalia Argudo.
yeah, it's Amalia Ogudo. So all of the little TikTok teenagers are really probably quite upset about the fact that I've got Amalia's jersey, but it is a youth size 14, and I'm not fitting in that.
But
So
she
it's
did give it
framed
to
on
you
my wall.
right. She did give it to you right there to the screams and
That's
faintings
amazing.
of many fans.
Yeah, that's true. I
Wow.
have photos that would destroy TikTok comment sections.
What gets me
What's it?
about Spain more than anything is let's rewind back a good few years. Now, this is when Sarah Law very first started playing for Scotland, so I'm talking 10 years
Yeah,
ago. Spain were beating Scotland.
yeah.
We travelled to Madrid and we watched them play, and Spain they played them in two games on a Friday night and then on a Saturday, and they beat them twice. Now, let's look at Spanish rugby and let's look at Scottish
I was gonna
rugby.
say FRU hates them is the problem.
Yeah, and in terms of that side of things, they've struggled to break through and get any form of consistency with anything just because they've not had any money to do so. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm with you on that one, Hattie. Come on, the Spaniards, and hopefully they can book themselves a World Cup space.
We've
I know
lamented this before, but
it's all the men's fault because they kept getting disqualified from World
yep.
Cups.
I was
So
gonna
they
say
didn't have
it.
any funding. That's genuinely the reason.
No, it really is though. That is one half of the reason, and in my opinion, the other half of the reason is that Spain didn't, and for probably many reasons. Obviously, there are no competent rugby unions that would go into this being like, you know what, I don't really care about grassroots. Um, and grassroots is important for a lot of reasons. However, for development, yes, it's kind of essential. And the big problem that Spain has is that all of their players are everywhere else. They don't
Yeah,
play in Spain. They don't play in Spain and they don't play together. And this kind of brings it full circle to what we were talking about, the Celtic Challenge approach that we are now looking at about who is doing it right and who isn't.
yeah,
Unfortunately, even if your competition is lower tier, if everybody is at it together, they will get better.
yeah.
Unfortunately, I don't think Spain will ever go there. So I do wonder what their plan is going to be. Are you going to force them all to be in France? Are you going to force them all to be in the PWR? What's
I
your
think
plan?
unless there's the way that like Spanish sporting clubs work is really interesting. I mean, Julia were talking about it the other day, but it would be really interesting if like Barcelona, for example, have a rugby
They
team.
have a rugby club.
Yeah, if they were like, shit, let's see if we can get in the elite. Oh, we've got enough money, we'll pay them off. Like that would be great for
It
them.
sounds like a joke, but that's not a bad approach.
Like if they like Spain has an entire wheelchair rugby basketball league. They have two, one for men, one for women, completely professional because it's a way for the clubs to offload football clubs to offload money. Why are they
Come
not
wash your money in rugby.
Interesting.
just have like one or two rugby teams and enter them in other competitions?
All I'm saying is that, like, what if there was a Spanish rugby team that was as good as Barca, the soccer team? That would be
Yeah.
insane.
So I hate to say it because I'm having so much fun, but I do have to wrap up. We're going to say that we've already done the competition that was and the competition that will be. That just leaves us with my final question, which is just about the state of the game overall. Julia, I don't think either of us will forget where we were the day the USA won a medal in the Olympic sevens. At the time, even people here were saying, that's it. That's the watershed moment. And since then, we've seen skyrocketing attendances, including a World Cup that smashed a ton of records. Is that the proof we need? Is the women's game growing the way we imagined, or have we lost a bit of momentum despite the numbers? Like, and is your sense of growth empirical, more sort of vibes based?
So I actually think that my view of this is a bit empirical. And granted, unfortunately, we only have the one league. We have WER, which is having a lot of problems right now for various different reasons, but it is still an extant competition and it is happening and it is where all of our players under the Eagles are playing basically unless they happen to also be playing in either the Interpros. We do have a few junior players playing in the Interpros now. I would love to get them into Scotland. Rachel, call me. But otherwise, they're playing in the PWR in France, one in Australia, or they're here at home at
And
WER.
one in New Zealand.
Oh, yes, sorry, one in New Zealand. So, I think that that is positive, especially because if we were to look at this time before the medal, like if we were looking at this time of the year before we got that medal, absolutely there has been insane growth. We are breaking records at our games. I think we're probably going to break more. Probably not at the Tennessee one that I'm going to just because people don't go to Tennessee like they should. But I think the New York one probably will. It will be against England and they will destroy us. But it will be a very good game. You and I won't be going because we hated that we hated that stadium, David. It is being played at the stadium that David and I went to watch Sevens together.
New York
Um,
Stadium.
yeah, it's technically in New York, except for that it's horrible.
And
In
isn't it in New Jersey?
It's in New Jersey.
It's fully in New Jersey. Um, it's
I
fully in
often
New
wonder how many times, like for this World Cup, it's like, hey, you're going to be playing in New York, and then they get there and they're like, this doesn't look like the New York I've seen in the movies.
It's funny you say that because Hattie just reminded us about some American girls that she either did you see it online or did
Oh,
you
it's on
actually encounter these women?
TikTok.
Okay, there were some women on TikTok who came
I
over just to
I
watch Alona
blocked
at
them
Bear.
after
You
watching
should.
this.
You should. They came over just to watch Alona at Bears, but of course they didn't do all the research, so they came to London and went to Shaftesbury Park in
Which is a
London,
dog park.
which is just a park. And then they made a TikTok where they were like, this sucks. And then they were like, well, you're 3 hours away. And by the way, this is why nobody likes us when we travel.
I
Well,
had to
that's
block.
that's
Literally, I watched
that's
the
one of the
video
reasons.
and I blocked them. I then this was obviously like a while ago. Then told Julia about it happening, and then
There
she had
needs
to
to
go
be a
find the video
moratorium
because I
on
blocked them
there
because I
needs to be
just
a
couldn't
moratorium
cope.
on Americans complaining about traveling.
So I
Because
really apologize. I do have to wrap it up. Rachel, I'm just curious. You're involved with rugby at so many levels. You're playing, you're coaching, you're in the booth doing comms. I think all of us can agree that women's rugby is on the rise, but is it doing so in a way that matches your expectations? Are you happy with the progress you're seeing? Like you were just talking about how many people showed up for training before we started chatting this evening. It feels like, but we get great news followed by another announcement like, let's give them smaller balls. And I find myself shaking my head.
Yeah, and I think it's one of those ones as a whole, women's rugby across the world is on the up. We're getting more. We've talked a lot about social media. We've talked a lot about the coverage and the impact that that has. As we've mentioned, women's rugby has more personality to it than men's rugby. So in terms of that sort of things, it makes for an interesting watch over the course of PWR side, looking at the WXV, you're getting yourself 36 test match over the two levels over the course of September and October. And if that's not an advert for watching women's rugby and getting involved, I don't know what is. So in terms of that side of things, I'm super excited. I'm excited about the changes that are happening in Scotland with lots of the Scotland girls, sorry, PWR, lots of the Scotland girls coming back to play for Edinburgh and Glasgow. I'm excited about the Celtic Challenge and I'm excited about what that's going to do for grassroots rugby in Scotland in particular, hopefully driving the standard of the club game. When those girls are released back into the club game, they can come and give their expertise and drive that up really from the bottom. So in terms of that sort of things, I do think we are going in the right way. There will always be those negative comments. There will always be those little setbacks that we have. But look at the last 20 years of the women's game. If we back 20 years ago said, oh goodness me, what are we going to do? We have to keep challenging everything. We have to keep powering on because at the moment we're in a situation where basically the only way is up and we just got to keep climbing.
Julia, did you notice? Have you followed the Women's Professional Baseball League?
several of my friends have. I feel bad. Baseball is one of the sports I never got into.
Hmm.
Um,
I'm just glad they're like, you know what? Duh,
it's
you can
very
obviously play baseball.
It's very cool. They're having a lot of fun. It's had huge success. I really look at it as just like, especially coming from rugby, I look at it and what I really do appreciate is that, and we actually talked about this, you and I talked about this probably over a year ago now, is a few of the PWHL franchises really embraced their WER compatriots, and WER got a lot of exposure because of that, which was
Yeah.
fantastic. It's really hard to explain, especially, I mean, Hattie knows because she listens to me all the time, but it's really hard to explain, especially to UK folks, that like getting people out to rugby is extremely hard. Oh, okay, it's not that hard. You guys get it. But for a place here where we can't even get people to come out because they're like, I don't know what's happening and I'm not really all that interested and I don't think I care about any of the players. But we know there are so many characters in rugby, and most of the players are super awesome, and there's a lot more to it than just going and watching. And I appreciate WPBL as well because they seem to really want to be a part of that. We want to make women's sports. I keep using ecosystem today because I read it in a report I was reading
Yeah,
for work earlier. But in the women's rugby ecosystem here in America, I
that's
do
what you're going to say,
appreciate that.
normalized.
Yeah, we're being so normalized. Everything is being normalized in America, and the normal is bad, except for women's rugby
That's right.
and women's basketball.
Um, my friends, this has been fantastic. I can't thank you enough for taking the time to chat here today. Any final thoughts before I let you go?
Remember that yes, progress is possible, but it only happens when it's being directed. And therefore, if you are a woman who is interested in the game and you see something that you don't like, that you have a voice.
Please, especially right now, and I am saying this coming from WER land, uh, you won't be the only one saying something. So be the change.
Great point. Patty, Julia, Rachel, in alphabetical order. I can't tell you how much I appreciate your time and insights. I hope to do it again soon. Enjoy the rugby. Go Eagles. Cheers. Talk to you soon and be well.